Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to start on the outside of the van and then we're going to work our way in. So the first thing, of course, in the locker at the front, we have space for 2 gas bottles. Just there, again, pigtail needs to go on and you hitch up either one as you're using them. As we come round, this is where we attach your water pump. Now, as you can see, you've got your water pump here. One piece just attaches into the van, the other piece will attach into your aqua roll. Now, with your aqua roll, you take this to water fill, you fill up, you bring it back, you pop your pump in, lock it into the system, and then of course you can drain your water directly through from the water pump inside of the vehicle. We have space here for a leisure battery. Behind here we also have an exterior aerial point, and of course we've got your 230 volt hookup just there as well. Flue for your heating, just here. Here we have the waste master. Now, this is where you'll dispose of your grey water. Underneath here, you'll see you have 2 holes. You have a hose like this. So one will go in one will go in the other. And that's taking your sink, your shower water, all those bits and pieces. That then pops directly into the waste master. When that's full, you take it away and dispose of your water. Then we have the cassette toilet. Now, on the cassette itself, there is a handle to open and close the blade. Now, for obvious reasons, the blade must be closed for you to be able to take the cassette out. When you do, you just unclip and take it out. Now, most sites will have what they call an Alson point. So you take out the handle, you wheel this to the Alson point. When we get to the Alson point, there is a cap that goes onto the top of here. You take the cap off and you press the orange button at the back. Now, when you're flushing it away, that lets air flow through, so it's not going to glug all over the place. You pour it away, you flush through the hose, pour away, add your new chemical, blue or green, into there, a little bit of water, pop it back in, and away you go. Now, just above, just here, because most caravans don't have a fresh water tank, so again, the water gets pumped into the system through the water pump, but also for your toilet, you tend to have a header tank. Now, this is where you use your pink chemical. And again, you have to drain that, push it through, pop in the water just to fill it up, so you don't want it fully concentrated, otherwise it's just going to be too strong and stain everything. So you must remember to dilute that down. As we walk round, again, you can see on both sides, you have the ability to fit an awning. Exactly the same on this side as well. We have your awning light, which is controlled just at the top of the vehicle, just up here. So again, controls for that are inside. Fridge vents here and here. Your habitation door is a stable type habitation door. Now, just here you can see, when you push that across, it locks into place, which means it can't just shoot off. But what you do have the ability to do, of course, is to release this door and lock that one into place. So again, gives you plenty of breeze through, but if you've got a dog or kids in the van, they can't get out very easily. One thing to remember, of course, is when you are putting it all back together, just lock that back, and of course, don't just pull the door. You need to press the button to release, to shut. Then, of course, we do have a good sized storage locker just here as well. So underneath the bench seat next to the kitchen, we have your boiler. Now, also down here, if we unclip just there, you can see we have access to your fuse board. But your boiler is what we really want to talk about here. Now, you've got 2 switches there, and as you can see, there's a little blue button that pops out. Now, that means your boiler's open. If we turn that a quarter turn and press the button in, there you go, it was in the right position before, press that in, now that means your boiler's sealed. Also, we have this grey switch here for your hot water. Now, if it's down, again, that's sealed. This is the position you want it in when you want to be putting water through your van and filling up your boiler. When you want to drain down your system, turn that, quarter of a turn, button pops out, and flick that switch up. Now, this system has an override that if it gets down to 2 degrees or below, that switch will automatically pop out. It's a big mistake that a lot of people make, because they'll get to site, they'll start filling it with water, they've turned on the water pump, water starts pouring directly out underneath the van. First place to check is going to be this, because 9 times out of 10 you find that's going to be open. While we're discussing your water systems, the next thing we need to talk about is priming the system. So of course the first thing we do is we fill up our aqua roll. We plug that in. The next thing we need to do is again go to our boiler and make sure our boiler is sealed. Once we've done that, we want to come over to the tap, put that on hot, and we want to do exactly the same in the toilet with your wash basin. And we're going to open those taps up. Got to make sure it's on hot because we want to expel any air out of our boiler. And then the next thing we would do is we would come over to here and we will press the water pump button. Now, when we turn that on, you're going to get a noise, which is basically be like a brrrring noise. And what that's doing is that's taking the water from the aqua roll and it's filling up your boiler. Once you're going to get some water and it's going to be coughing, spluttering, coming out your taps. Once that starts running through smoothly, knock your taps off, but wait for that buzzing noise to finish because that means that it's then filled your boiler. At that point, you can then start to think about heating your water. So up here we have your master switch that will control your lights and your electrics into your van. And of course we have your water pump. Over here you can see it's actually showing us that we have got power coming to the van as we're plugged into the mains at the moment. Then here we have your heating and your hot water system. So the big thing for this one really is you have to work it in a slightly different way. You have to go to number 3 first because number 3 is your heat source. Now by pressing on there you have a choice. Gas, mix 1, mix 2, electric 1 or electric 2. So if we come back to gas, gas is purely working on the fact that it is running on gas and gas alone. Mix 1 is gas in 1 electric element. Mix 2 is gas in 2 electric elements for which you must be plugged into the mains. And again, same with electric 1 and electric 2. You must be plugged into the mains. Now, whenever you're using your heating, the first thing you do is pick your heat source. Because if you don't and you try to set your temperatures or try to set your water, it's going to trip out and it's going to give you a fault code. So once we've actually set, and because we're plugged in the showroom at the moment, we'll go to electric 2. We press on there, then we want to come back to the first icon. And this is then going to give us our temperature for our heating. Now that will go literally anywhere up to 30 degrees. So let's say we want 20. Once you get there, you press the button, it's stored into the system. Now the next thing we then want to do is go to our fan, which is the 4th icon. Press on there and we have a choice of eco or high. And that's literally how much air you're pushing through your system. If we now come back and we turn our heating off and go back to the fan, it will now give us a choice of vent. If we press on vent, that will go up to number 10. And again, that is just circulating the air in the van around if you so wish. The next icon will be number 2, which is your hot water. Now, for this to work, again, we must make sure that we filled our boiler first. But once we have, we press on there, and again, you have a choice. You have eco, which is 40 degrees, hot, which is 60, or boost. Again, if somebody's had a shower, somebody wants to have one again quite quickly, pop it on boost and it'll heat up a little bit quicker for you. So there we have your heating, your hot water, your energy source and your fan speed. When we come down here, we can now press on this icon and we can set our timing for our heating or our hot water to come on at a certain point. Next we have our clock, so again we can set our clock just from there. Then we come to the settings. So with the settings we can offset the screen. For why I really couldn't tell you, but it is an option that you do have. Temperature from degrees to Fahrenheit, brightness of your control panel, 12 or 24 hour clock, language, if all this is a little bit too easy, you want to do it in French, German or Italian, please carry on. Index I'll come back to in a second. Reset, sometimes if you get a glitch in your system you can reset the system. So index, if we're doing something wrong or there's a problem with the system, you'll get a warning triangle come up just here. If you click onto that warning triangle, it will give you a code. If those codes then, they're all stored within your index. The idea being is that a trimmer technician could see what's actually going on with your system, perhaps even being able to diagnose the problem before they come out to you. A lot of the times it'll be something silly along the lines of you've forgotten to plug it into the mains and you put it onto electric, or you haven't turned your gas on and you've got it running on gas. One of the most important things in any motorhome or caravan, of course, is the kitchen, especially if you're planning on not dining out all the time. Now, Adria do give you a good slab of work surface, especially when you've got the top down for your hobs. They've been very clever in the way they've designed the hobs because they've actually dropped them down. So again, if you get any spillages, anything like that, it can be drained down directly into the sink when you remove the chopping board. Obviously, when you are dropping this back down, you must make sure these have cooled, otherwise this top's going to shatter. Next, of course, we have your oven grill. Most important thing when you're using the grill is to pull out the heat shield. That will stop the heat from rising and end up melting your dials. But you do want to slot it back in when you're not using it. Otherwise, it's very easy to catch the back of your trousers or something as you're going through. Now, very important when it comes to your hobs and your oven, they will only work off gas systems. So you must have your gas turned on. Don't try to regulate it yourself. Turn the gas fully on or turn it fully off when you're not using it. Underneath here, of course, we do also have your gas isolator switches. Now, again, the idea with that being is if you have a gas leak on a certain piece of equipment, you can isolate that certain piece of equipment, meaning you don't have to turn everything else off as well. Up here, of course, we have your microwave. Microwave will only work if you're plugged into 230 volt. It won't work off the 12 volt systems, even if you've got a leisure battery. And here we have your 3-way fridge freezer. So, as you can see at the moment, the blue light's on. If I keep my finger on that, we'll turn it off. But we want to turn it on to go through the systems. So the first thing we need to do is pick our source. So we press that button until the source flashes. At the moment we're on auto. We can go to electric, we can go to battery, which will mean it's running off the vehicle battery when you're travelling, or gas. We'll pick auto at the moment because most of the time that's what you'll be running from. Next it will come up for our temperature. So again, by pressing these buttons we can change the temperature of the fridge to what we want. Once we press it, that's now stored into the system. Now this light will go off, but again it's important every now and again, especially if you're on auto, just to press the button just to see what it's doing, because you want to make sure it's doing what you want it to do and not what it thinks it needs to do. So the Dart is a 4-berth motorhome. Now the back bed's quite obvious, you've got the big island, so it's nice and easy. Now when it comes to the front of the vehicle, now again this depends on how you plan to use it. If you've got 2 children that you're going to be putting in here, again depending on how tall they are, you can use them as 2 singles, especially if you take the backrests away. But we're going to look at using it as a transverse bed at the moment, because that's the way that most people will probably tend to use it. So what you do is these slide out to the centre on both sides. Now there's 2 ways that you can do this. A lot of people will turn the covers over because again they're flatter on the opposite side, which means you're going to get a flatter bed, a better night's sleep. But just for the purposes of demonstration, what we're going to do is just pull them to the centre. Now if you do this, really what you want to do is put them the other way around, because you've got this lump that wants to be at the back. Like so. We take this piece out. Same scenario on this side. Your backrest is going to go to here. So first thing we want to do is turn this piece around so we don't have the lump in the middle of the bed. And there you have your transverse double bed. The van has 2 TV points, one right by the front window in the front, and we do have another one in the bedroom just here next to the bracket. Your aerial is situated just here. Now if Tony can get through here, you'll see we've got your Vision Plus here, which is your signal booster. Now there's a little switch on top which I'm just going to press. Now you'll see that's red. Now it works like on a traffic light signal. Once you've unscrewed this, pushed it up and you're turning, it'll go amber, it'll go green, depending on if you're picking up any signal. Obviously green is superb, that's what you want to be able to program in any TV. It does depend on where you are. If you're by a tree, probably even if you've got an 85cm satellite dish on the roof, you're still not going to be picking anything up. So when you go onto site, it's important to ask, if you do want to watch a lot of television, where the best point is before you actually book that plot. Now also, while we're in this area, I'm just going to come out the way and let Tony come through, because down on the bottom shelf we have your trip switches. The bathroom in the Dart is a very, very clever design because it does allow you a lot of privacy from the front of the van to the back of the van. First thing being, of course, is we have this door, the toilet door, which we can shut off. And again, it gives us that block from the front. So if you've got other people in the front of the vehicle, you want to go to bed early, it's great because you've got that privacy. But what you can also do, of course, is this wall unattaches. We can then slide this over. Now, one, it gives you a great barrier between the front of the van and the back of the van. So again, if you want to go to bed late or go to bed early, you've got the privacy. But also what it will do is if you've got another couple in the front, they don't have to enter your bedroom to use the facilities and you don't have to enter theirs. Very important when you are traveling to make sure that these are locked back into place, as otherwise by the time you get to where you're going, that's off, and that's on any caravan. The other thing, of course, when we come through, we're going to talk again about the toilet. So the first thing being with the toilet is it can be moved into the most comfortable position. At the moment you can see that we've got the black piece there for the blade is across the toilet. Now that means that the toilet is sealed. So again, at the moment we don't want to be using it. Grey handle directly underneath that will open or close the toilet. So again, obviously you only want it open when you're using it. Apart from that, keep it closed. Your flush is just on top, just here. You must have your water pump on to be able to use the flush. And of course, if the cassette is full, the little light will just pop on there. Wash basin just here. And we do have storage here and here. Excellent size shower, of course. And again, one thing to remember is when you're traveling, make sure that is locked, as otherwise the doors are going to be off by the time you get there. The last thing that we're really going to do on this particular handover is talk about windows and skylights. It is very important when you are traveling that skylights and windows are closed. They're double glazed, but they're plastic. If they catch the wind, they're gone. Next thing, of course, is fly screens and blinds, which again, you literally just pull up or pull down. And there we have a basic handover for you on an Adria Dart. Really hope you found it informative.